How do you win an Olaf in the arcade with a crane machine on the boardwalk in Wildwood, New Jersey? Do him a favor and grab him by the butt. We're on the beach this vacation, but we're still going geekin' on Walt Disney World. Welcome to episode 84 of the Geekin' on Walt Disney World podcast. I am your co-host, Curtis Stone, and we are the family-friendly father-daughter podcast that will feed your passion for Walt Disney World by sharing our experiences and opinions as well as others from our community of passionate Walt Disney World geeks. Now, this episode is a little different than usual. I have been doing lots of live trip reporting from Walt Disney World, but this live trip report is from another one of our favorite places to go, which is Wildwood, New Jersey. And I do some live trip reporting walking along the beach for a couple days down there. We were down there for 1 week. Now, Mom and I have been doing this trip to Wildwood, New Jersey for over almost 30 years. And we are just creatures of habit. So our two favorite places are Walt Disney World and Wildwood, New Jersey. And we went on a 7-day trip down there with about 15 people, including my sister and her family, my parents, my good friend from college and his family, and Ben and Sheila and Harry and Caitlin, and Lindsay stayed home and watched the dogs because it's not her favorite kind of vacation. But I thought it was a good opportunity for me to compare a Disney World trip to a beach vacation in Wildwood, New Jersey. This is a lot like my little walks along in the morning when I go get my coffee in Disney World. And one of the most favorite things I like to do down on the beach is get up early before anybody else and go down to the beach, and there's hardly any people there. And I tried out a brand new microphone that I bought that is a lapel microphone from Sony, and it sounded pretty good. I'm quite pleased the way this recording came out, and I will definitely use this lapel microphone again when we are down in Walt Disney World next March 2016. Now, you'll hear me on a Sunday. I record over 2 days, Sunday morning walk on the beach. And the cool thing I think about this episode is that you're going to hear a little bit of history of Mama and Curtis from Wildwood Crest, New Jersey, and our romance story, our history with Wildwood, our engagement story down in Wildwood, New Jersey. And, people are so friendly out there on the beach. You'll hear Henry say hi to different people, just like it is down in Walt Disney World. And here's what I'm going to be comparing. The travel, how you get down to Wildwood Crest is by car. Of course, we fly most of the time to Walt Disney World. Compare that way. Compare the hotel or motel or resorts that we stay in down in Wildwood Crest compared to Disney World. I compare the food and the drinks. There are lots of rides down in Wildwood, New Jersey on the boardwalk, and I compare those rides and the water parks. I talk a little bit about the critters. You know how much we love animals, and we love the animals that you see when you're on vacation. I talk about the typical mornings, which of course you've heard me say I love so much. The type of pace that we do on vacation when we're in Wildwood, New Jersey compared to Disney World, and what a typical day is. And that's about it. I won't come on for a closing. Let's just listen in to my walks along the beach comparing Walt Disney World to Wildwood, New Jersey, and hope you guys had a great summer. September has come in, and it's time to go back to school and work and get ready for our March 2016 Walt Disney World trip. All right, here I am, Curtis Stone, and I am doing my walking here on the beach in Wildwood, New Jersey. I am in the Motel Alakai. It's early morning. It's 6:30 in the morning, and the sun looks like it's just gonna come up here. This resort motel that we stay at is beach block. So I'm just gonna walk out of my room here, and I'm walking down one block, and there's a big empty piece of property in between my motel and the beach. And Wildwood, New Jersey beach is just huge. It's very difficult to describe how big this beach is. But as I'm walking here right now, I'm just walking from my motel down to where the sand starts. And then from there, there's a little wooden walkway that takes you down over some dunes that have just been built over the last few years. And I can start to see the water here for sure. And it'll be interesting to see how this microphone that I'm using now, it's a microphone that's plugged into the mic jack of my recorder, and it can pick up my voice really well. It'll be interesting to see if you'll hear the seagulls. Oh, the sun here is just coming up over the water. Oh, it's perfect. I was wondering what time the sunrise was, and this is perfect for the walk on the beach. It's nice and warm. We're looking at high 80s this week at the beach, and my plan while I'm walking, we'll keep it relevant to the Walt Disney World podcast. And I'm going to compare my beach vacation here in Wildwood, New Jersey to the Walt Disney Resort vacation to my best I can. I thought it'd be fun to do while I'm walking, as it's the two places in the world that Mama and the family and I have vacationed the most consistently over the years, year in, year out. Oh, there's some dogs here. 3, looks like Labrador Retrievers. That's a lab. Actually, that looks like a Rottweiler. And 2 yellow labs, one on a leash, one not on the leash. That is one thing I would love to do here someday, is to have my dogs down here to run on the beach. It's the type of beach where you can have boogie boards and dogs and all kinds of things to have fun up on the beach. But yeah, I'm going to compare my Disney World vacations to the Wildwood, New Jersey. And let me give you a little history of Mama and I's time here at the Wildwood, New Jersey. Good morning. People are just as friendly on vacation here, especially early in the morning. You only get a few people out here that are walking, kind of similar to my walks in Disney World when I'm walking to my coffee. I'll see people and they'll say good morning. People are really friendly. And this island here in Wildwood, New Jersey, they call it an island, and because there's a little bay in between the ocean here. I believe it's 7 miles long. They call it the Wildwoods. You have the Wildwood Crest where we stay, and then there's the middle part, which is called Wildwood, and then there's North Wildwood. And there's a beach all the way along to walk. But yes, Mom and I first learned about Wildwood, New Jersey when we met each other, and we worked together at a place called the Touring Company. I was first out of college, and I met Mama there at work. And we really became friends before we had any kind of romantic relationship. But we were the only ones that were single in the group of people we hung out with. And one thing led to another. And we began dating. And when we started dating, we both loved the ocean. And we worked with a woman who knew of someone, friends of theirs, who owned a travel agency, and they also owned a motel here in Wildwood, New Jersey. And at the time, there were no real casinos around except for Atlantic City in New Jersey. And so we thought coming down here to the beach would be cool, and then we could actually go to Atlantic City to try out the gambling. And that's what we did. And we stayed at this place called the Tempo. And the owners were people that we knew from Connecticut. And they were very nice. He was very nice. And it was a small little motel on the beach block, just like we're staying right now. And we absolutely fell in love with that. Now that goes back, Mom and I have been married 26 years. We probably came a year, so it was probably 27 years And we consistently came back year after year. We used to come back in May before really the summer season opened. And now you probably hear it in the ocean. It'll be interesting to see as closer I get to the water. I'm still not to the water, by the way, and I've been walking on the sand for quite a while. But a little more history here. My friend Matt, who I went to college with, he's here with his family, so that's a lot of fun that we're here with my family, my sister, and my parents. And my boys are here with their girlfriends. But Matt reminded me that, since we've been coming here, that we got engaged down here. And Matt was here. This was before he met his wife. And we stayed at a place called the Regis down here. And the story goes how I brought the engagement ring. I don't think I can get too close to the ocean, or else you're not going to hear me at all. You stay up closer to the top here. Oh, the sunrise is absolutely beautiful. And the ocean, nice big waves here in Wildwood. Plenty of room to spread out. But getting back to my story, when I was thinking about popping the question for Mama, we had our plan to come down here in May, and I bought a ring with all the money I pretty much had in the bank. And it was kind of funny. I showed it to my neighbor, and she said to me, "How do you know that she will say yes?" And at that point, you hear the tractor. There's a rake here, raking the beach. He's driving away. You can hear the seagulls. And she says, "How do you know Mama's going to say," well, she wasn't Mama then. She's going to say yes. And then I said, she put that doubt in my mind. And I said, "Well, we really haven't been talking about it." I was kind of confident she would say yes. But that's how I started driving down here. It's about a 5.5 to 6 hour drive, depending on traffic, from Connecticut. And all the way down, I had the ring, I think in my sweater or sweatshirt. And Mama was laying her head on it all the way down. I was so nervous coming down here, wondering what she would say. We got to the resort, the hotel, and went out to the beach and started walking. And as we started walking, and we walked a long ways. I'm taking a look right now where I am, and I'm looking up and down the beach. The resort we stayed at was even farther south than where we're staying now. And there's a pier. I mean, it's got to be a couple miles of a walk to get to this pier. And that's how far we walked. And all along, I'm wondering, when am I going to give her the ring? When I got to the pier, I turned, and there was actually dolphins jumping in the water. And I gave her the ring, and she started crying and said yes right away. And it was quite emotional, and I was so relieved. And then what was funny was, to take this story back a little bit, before we started off on the beach, I went into the bathroom and had diarrhea, basically. My stomach was so nervous. And not to give you too much information, but then we walked back and we were talking and happy and excited, and I think she was nervous now. And she ended up being in the bathroom, and I was wondering when she was going to come out. But it was an exciting time. So this beach here brings back lots of memories. When the kids were little, we brought them here. I can remember bringing Harry as a baby, and Lindsay, and then the three of them all together. We did wait a little while when we had the three. It was difficult to travel with three kids when they were all young, four. When they were 4, 2, and just born, you can imagine. But it was always a great place. So now, let's compare Walt Disney World to this other fine place to go on vacation. One thing about coming down here is the travel. Now in Connecticut, we drive over to the Bradley International Airport out in Windsor Locks, which is about a 45-minute drive when we're going to Disney World. And it's a beautiful drive. It's out in the Northwest Hills of Connecticut. There's a reservoir there. I have no traffic, and it's such a nice small airport to fly out of. We always go early in the morning, catch a early flight, like a 7 a.m. flight, and it's a little over 2 hours down to Orlando Airport. And it's usually a nice flight. We fly Southwest, get pretty good prices to fly down. And so from door to door, really, it's maybe 3 hours to travel down to Orlando for us, which is quite convenient, gotten used to it, and it's easy. Now, getting to Wildwood, New Jersey from Connecticut is a drive through Connecticut through 84, which is a difficult stretch of highway. It's always crowded. And then, now we left yesterday about 6:45, I think, by the time we got on the road and we drove with 2 cars. My parents drove with their car, their truck, and my sister in their car. They went down separately. So basically I had 4 cars coming down. Harry and his girlfriend Caitlin drove down behind Mom and I and Ben and Sheila. But the drive into New York State over the Tappan Zee Bridge, you can see New York City in the lower part as you drive over. It was a beautiful day, and we're very excited about the weather this week. Nice clear day to drive, so that was great. It wasn't too crowded. Get over to Tappan Zee Bridge, that can be a problem, especially with construction. It's been going on over the years, but we got over that just fine. Got a little bit crowded, and then it really hit traffic stop and go in northern New Jersey. You go through, I'm trying to think of the names, but Newark definitely, and that was crowded stop and go, and it was frustrating. There was, even down in Atlantic City, there was construction in 2 lanes there. Of course, it was Saturday, and it wasn't too bad. But then there's traffic coming on from the Philadelphia area that merges on, and it was stop and go. All in all, I was just talking to my father. He's up, sitting outside having his coffee, and it took us about 6 hours, which really it's not that bad because we made 2 stops too. It was really frustrating coming down, but I was thinking, comparing to Disney World, it's actually more difficult. It's closer, but you're driving, and it's more difficult to get here than it is to Disney World. Now the resort, let's talk about the resorts. Of course, Disney World is amazing resorts, and we have DVC, and we'll stay at the Polynesian or Bay Lake Tower and like that, and there's really no comparison when you take that kind of thing. And I've always laughed about the resort that we stay at right now. It's called the Alakai Resort Motel, and it's just a little L-shaped, cute little beach room. Now the rooms here are I thought they're pretty good size. They're actually probably bigger. They're definitely bigger than, for instance, if I were to compare this to Pop Century, for instance, that I stayed, that was, or even Port Orleans, because price-wise, we paid $169 a night, I believe. So it's about in that Port Orleans kind of mid-range price point. The rooms here are probably a little bit bigger, and we heard that they put in new beds here, so we got 2 queen beds. I had to actually get 2 rooms though, because I'm come down here I'm paying for 6 of us, and so I ended up getting 2 rooms. But that's what it is, and I'm on the first floor right next to the pool, which is really convenient. So if you compare that to Disney World, you're never gonna have a room where you walk out. Well, I don't know, it shouldn't say that. You probably could, but if you're staying at Port Orleans or Pop Century, I suppose you could get something that's pretty close to the pool, but we're just steps away from the gates of the pool, which is really cool. We can sit out there outside our room. You got those little plastic chairs, have a drink, and hop in and out of the pool. We've also got a grill that we always take advantage of. We brought down, especially yesterday, after the long drive. We don't get too fancy. We bring burgers and hot dogs. I got that going for everybody, and bring in some salads. Everybody brings food, which is pretty cool. We actually, so to compare the eating arrangements, we actually bring food, and then we go to grocery stores here locally, the Acme, to pick up maybe later in the week. We always laughing because we brought so much food. My dad brought steaks, and we got pork shoulders. We're gonna slow cook. And so in comparison to Disney World, where we go to restaurants most of the time, here we only have we got a couple favorite places. I should say one. We got one sit-down restaurant that we always go to and we talk about, and that'll be a tradition we'll do again this year. It's called the Lobster House in Cape May, New Jersey. It's just as you drive into Cape May, you can hit the Lobster House. And I was talking on the podcast recently about we were talking about the boathouse on the Super Geek Roundtable with Erica. She went to the boathouse, and I was really excited about the Lobster House, which probably might be in comparison. But we've never really talking about the food here in Wildwood, New Jersey. Mom and I, we've always been a little bit disappointed. They're more like tourist traps, I would call them. One time we went to this place, I don't even give it a name of it. I remember we sat down and it felt like we're having dinner. It was on the Bayside, and it felt almost like a frozen dinner to us. So, and I'm not that picky, but we weren't that impressed, and we always kind of giggle. There are some good restaurants in here, but it is expensive, and we just like to hang out by the room. Now the pizzas and subs and that kind of thing, we like to get those. There's a place up on the boardwalk too that has a stromboli, which calzone, stromboli, some of the Italian stuff's really good. Love the pizza. It's that New York style flat pizza. You can get that on the boardwalk. We always do that. And there's a place called Harry's on the corner. Funny enough, same name as my son. That's kind of one of the reasons we started going there. And hold on one second. It's funny, there's people here on the beach seeing me talk to myself. Not too many people, but now it's not that strange because people sit there and talk to themselves while they're on their phone. He probably thinks I'm on the phone. But anyways, where I was, Harry's in Harry's Corner. I love the stromboli there, and it's huge, full of cheese. I put maybe pepperoni or sausage in it, and it's just, man, and I'm a big guy, but that thing stuffs me. And I really love that stuff. That's probably one thing we'll usually do if we're up on the boardwalk. So no real comparison there, but yeah, it was funny when we were staying down at the Polynesian DVC. I don't know if I mentioned it before, but there's a grilling area now. There's two gas grills out in front of the Mori building, and actually I think that would be pretty cool to hang out and do a little bit of grilling, and yeah, I think that would be fun. But it wouldn't be the primary way, so a totally separate, different way of eating down here in Wildwood. Of course, we bring tons of snacks. And the drinks, wow. Yeah, drinks, we stopped at the liquor store, got some beer. Mama likes to drink some gin and tonics when she's here. And we make our own margaritas. That has been a tradition. Started with my friend Matt. He likes to experiment to make margaritas, and he uses fruit juices and real fruit, of course tequila, and we get those big red cups and we run it through the blender and we make margaritas here. That has been a tradition, as opposed to going to the 11 a.m. margarita stand in Mexico. All right, I've been chit-chatting and talking for about 20 minutes, still walking here along the beach. Haven't even turned around yet. I'm just making my way. I don't even know. I'm starting to see that pier I mentioned about before. I don't even know if I'm even halfway there. And actually, right about where the pier, I'm trying to look here along where the motels are, is where the boardwalk starts. And the boardwalk is about 3 miles wide long. 3 miles long, and there are 3 huge piers that come across. There's a big convention center, which I can see here in the beginning of the boardwalk. I can see all the amusement rides, the big tall ones. There is a great white shark roller coaster, which is a wooden roller coaster that's on one of the piers. And I'm trying to look, there's another roller coaster, one of those ones kind of where you stand up on, and they whip you around. And so there's some really intense rides here at Wildwood, New Jersey, if I'm trying to compare the rides to Walt Disney World. And one of the reasons why I wanted to do the podcast on this topic is because it reminds me of a conversation I had with one of the office workers years ago here at the resort. And she asked us, I think she said, I think we missed you last year. And it might have been a year where we did Disney World kind of heavy a couple times. And she said, well, we would tell her, well, we went to Disney World last year. And she would say to me, wow, Wildwood has more rides than Disney World. And that always stuck in my mind. And I don't know that I've never actually done the comparison, but Wildwood, New Jersey certainly does have a lot of amusement rides. It's run by this place, Maury's Piers is what it's called. And even one other thing I'll compare to Disney World is they have some rides here, obviously, that are here year after year, but they're always adding different attractions to the boardwalk. I mean, it's that big of a place in terms of amusement parks where, and it's a big investment. Some of these rides are really big and expensive and cool, and they got some of the cheesy kind of arcadey kind of places, the little kiddie rides and stuff that are there. But they also have 3 water parks. 2 of them are Maury's owns that are on the piers, and they are very fun. We've done those over the years, lots of fun, just like doing the water parks in Walt Disney World. And I don't know, they're probably not as themed as, although they've done a lot of work on the ones here at Wildwood. They really did upgrade and have like a place where you can hang out, and like a little tiki area and like little splash areas. They've actually added those. So they're almost on par with the 2 water parks in Disney World, although I've only gone to the Blizzard Beach in Disney World. But I know, and Ben actually made a comment to me that he wasn't really that crazy about Blizzard Beach. There's one water park ride here. One of the ones, there's a slide that's really steep like Blizzard Beach. Now Blizzard Beach one is probably higher and steeper. This one, and I didn't actually even ride that one, I think, when I was at Blizzard Beach years ago. But this one, you lay down and you head on towards the ocean. So the ocean's at, like, you look over your feet and then you're heading towards the ocean, and you slide for quite a while, like 100 feet, and then you go straight down and splash down, and your shorts go up into your rear a little bit. But it's a real fun. Yeah, water parks are really fun. The kids have often enjoyed the amusement parks here, and we would buy tickets you can buy like a 3-day pass, that kind of thing, just multiple day pass, just like you do, including the water parks, and you get a pretty good, reasonable breakdown, and you get a wristband that, well, not like the Mickey band for sure, and there's no fast passes, and you could be waiting in lines depending on what time you go. The boardwalk at night up here can be extremely crowded, like shoulder to shoulder, especially on a weekend night. Today is Sunday. It probably wouldn't be too bad, but it's summer, but it's like the end of summer. As we're talking, it'll be interesting to see what this week will be here in terms of the crowds. But actually, I'm starting to see the beginning of the boardwalk now. Yeah, so the attractions obviously in Walt Disney World are much more fancier than they are here. But the New Jersey boardwalk is world famous, and I know they have them all up along the Jersey Shore, although I've only been to Wildwood, New Jersey, and only know this boardwalk. They have casino games like poker, that kind of stuff you can play to win prizes, which is a lot of fun. Kind of like you can do some of that kind of stuff in some of the arcades at Disney World resorts, but nothing like, that's something that Wildwood has. It's quite unique in the Jersey boardwalk. We used to like to do that. We haven't done it a lot long. I remember winning a cooler. Actually, one of the coolers I have with me was something, you could say I won it, but I think I pumped in enough quarters into those machines where I probably bought it. But it's, yeah, we like to come up here and ride bikes one morning. Yeah, you can ride your bikes on the boardwalk before 11 o'clock. So we'll get up here like at 9 o'clock. We'll ride from one end of the boardwalk and then all the way back to the other. But if you think of in Disney World, of course, there is the boardwalk, and it is themed after a New Jersey boardwalk. I'm not sure if there's one in particular it's themed after. And you've got the beach and yacht club and the boardwalk resort, and they're really, the architecture or design is very much like Cape May in New Jersey, which is just south of where I'm at. Now I stay at Wildwood Crest, which is the southern end of Wildwood, and I mean, guys, you just take a couple roads. The roads are all kind of crisscrossed straight here. I mean, I go out three or four streets, take a left, and within a few blocks I'm on my way to Cape May over a little bridge, and I'm in Cape May. Now in Cape May, it's a Victorian homes and bed and breakfasts, and of course the ocean is the southern tip of New Jersey, and really cute, beautiful homes there. And I can understand why that the beach club would be designed in that architecture style, because it is, it's really beautiful. There's actually some big hotels down there along the beach that remind me of the beach club a little bit. And we enjoyed going down to Cape May. Mom and I were talking. There's a beach down there called Sunset Beach. And right now I'm watching the sunrise. Of course, sun rises in the east and sets in the west. When you're on the ocean, you really can see that quite clearly. And as this moves during the day, and it looks like we're gonna have a crystal clear day so far, and we can go drive down to Sunset Beach, and you can see those beautiful oranges. That, if I were to compare that to Disney World, if you stay at the Bay Lake Tower, and I can remember watching the sun rise actually, and you do get some really gorgeous sunrises there. And if you can, it's easy to see from usually your building, if you're facing towards the Magic Kingdom and the Grand Floridian, you can see that sunrise. And even in the sunset, you can actually see the sunset quite well if you get on the other side of the building. And maybe if you were like in the Contemporary, I think that window out the back side of the Contemporary there, you could see, or if you got on the other side there of Bay Lake and the Contemporary, and the lake back there, you'll get a nice, beautiful sunset also on a day like it is today. All right, I just walk over to the water. I'm actually going to turn around here. I'm almost to the pier, so I didn't even make it to the pier where Mom and I got first engaged. I'm going to turn around. I'm really actually very interested in getting a coffee. Hopefully my father's got a coffee there already made for me. But I just, there's some people staring at something here laying on the beach, and I got up a little closer look, and it was 3 horseshoe crabs, and I'm not sure why they're staring at horseshoe crabs, because that's quite a common occurrence down here on the ocean. And what it made me think about is the wildlife, comparing the wildlife here down on the beach and to Disney World, because I've always been fascinated at Disney World I always call them the little critters that you encounter and how friendly they are, like the squirrels and the rabbits, especially the chipmunks and the little birds, the little chickadee birds that are, well, you'll be sitting down having something to eat, and a little bird, like if you're sitting like at Magic Kingdom, maybe having ice cream or something, or I know that area, I always forget the name of that restaurant that's over near Future World, but the little birdies will sit there and we'll throw them little crumbs. Me and Lindsay will feed a squirrel while we're having our waffle sandwich, and they're just the ducks seem, we always laugh, we say that they're like animatronics, but here that we are on an ecosystem that is definitely wild and real here at the beach. My favorite encounter here on the beach, and I love, and I've been looking out here for the dolphins because they have a really nice large dolphin population here in Wildwood, and they'll swim up and down the beach. Right now as I look out in the ocean, there's tons of seagulls. I think they're jumping and splashing with fish and having themselves a little snack out there on the water. You'll see the gulls get all excited, and speaking of the gulls, they have a couple of here. One is the big traditional white seagull with the yellow beak that are beautiful. You can get kind of close to them, but they'll fly away. There's these little birds running across the sand right now. They got little feet and they run like really fast. They're so cute. I'm actually watching them right now. Those kind of remind me of the little birds, little chickadees. But up at the resort, we have the same kind of wrens, I think they are. The little chickadee birds that we feed little pieces of breads and crackers that they're always cute, hanging out with us by the pool. They also have the most obnoxious seagull I've ever encountered down here called the laughing gull. And it's not just the fact that he laughs, I mean like a real laugh. You'll hear them when they get excited, but they are notorious for stealing your food. And I mean, to the point where if we'll be cooking a steak on the grill, and if you leave that grill open and walk away, he'll actually pull that steak. We had someone pull a steak right off the grill. Now that's aggressive. And sometimes we actually like to come down here at the end of the week, if we have extra leftovers or something, and we feed the gulls, and you can throw stuff in the air and the gulls will catch it in the air. It's kind of fun. And they'll see you coming from miles away and they'll take your food. But one time I threw up half a hunk of steak that was left over, and they couldn't rip it apart, and they flew back from the beach. We try to stay away from where the people are as we're feeding these gulls, and they flew with the steak right over a pool where a guy was cleaning his pool, and they dropped the steak straight into the pool. But yeah, the critters down here, of course, we were laughing, when you're in the water, you're likely to encounter a crab to bite your toe, which isn't a pleasant encounter or experience. And we like to go out here boogie boarding. That's one thing you can't, I don't know, I guess you could do it. There's a wave pool in Typhoon Lagoon over in Disney World, but the waves here are quite fun. You can get out into the water. The other encounter you may have with an animal, hopefully it's not a shark. I've seen some large fish in the water, but I've never seen sharks, so let's hope we don't see any this week. But you will see a ray. And the rays, I've seen them in the waves, not often, but one thing that a ray will do is he'll put his fin up and he'll actually look like the fin of a shark, but it's really a monoray. And you'll see them out here in the water. Ben was talking about, there's a couple of speedboats here, the Silver Bullet and the Thundercat, and they'll do dolphin watches, and you can go out, and we did that one time, and it was really fun. We actually saw a baby dolphin with his mom out there, and that was really cool. The other thing they have down here at Cape May County is a zoo, and if you wanted to compare Animal Kingdom, I don't know, to the zoo. Of course, Animal Kingdom's not a zoo, but they have an amazing free zoo here. It's donation only. And when you hear free zoo, you're like, well, maybe it's some kind of little petting zoo, but it really isn't. It's been an attraction that we've enjoyed going to, and you get to see all the biggest kind of lions, tigers, and bears, and monkeys, and birds, and reptiles, big old turtles, and they've expanded. They even got kind of like a little safari kind of, not a ride, not like they do at Disney World with the safari ride, but there's a nice walking path where they have deer out there, and it's really quite amazing. I highly recommend it if you're in this area to check out the Cape May County Zoo. It's definitely, especially a day, maybe the weather's not that great, take a little afternoon over at the zoo. They've got a picnic area over there, and it's not far from the Wildwood beaches. It's kind of on the way, the drive in, you'll see signs for it. One thing you want to be aware of when you're in Disney World is it is a tropical place. And Mama will often say to me, don't walk off the paths. Do not wander through a bush or tall grass, because you are liable to encounter a snake. And we actually saw a snake one time at Epcot, of all places, and it was over in the Norway Pavilion. We were sitting down having a nice treat from the Kringle Bakery, and I saw a couple people looking into the bushes on the side of the Kringle Bakery and pointing and like that, so I got up to take a look. I think I had finished my treat, went over there, took a look, and sure enough, there was this like orange snake curled up inside one of the bushes, and we were able to get one of the cast members' attention, and they have, I think, like a little wildlife kind of cast member come over, and we watched him take that snake out of the bush. So yes, be careful when you're in Disney World for that kind of thing. I'm continuing to make my way back down towards my little motel, and it just, again, I'm a big fan of mornings, and I love my mornings in Disney World. I love the resorts early in the morning. Not too many people around. People are just waking up. The workers are coming in, and you can go, as you know, I like walking if you're in a big resort, you got a little bit of a walk. You're gonna walk to get your coffee, maybe a little breakfast sandwich, egg sandwich, or like that. And same thing when I'm down here at the beach. I love this beach because I can get out here by myself. I can walk, I'll listen to my music. Now as a podcaster, I'm podcasting. You can hear the sound of the ocean, the seagulls, the sun's coming up. We got the guys out here raking the beach. It's quiet. Nobody's sitting here. People just walking along, having a good time. And sometimes when I get back to the room, I'll take a little ride they have convenience stores. There's one called the Wawa, which is quite popular down here. They've got really good coffee. If I get there early enough, there won't be too many crowds. Lately, I've actually been bringing my own coffee. Today, I brought down my Joffrey's coffee. I have one more. I have my Flying Fish Joffrey's coffee still left. Mama bought me 4 pounds of coffee. I've gone through the Kona and Narcoossee, and I just finished up Tusker House. And if you'd ask me, I like the Kona, but they were all very good. And I've had the Flying Fish one before. I'm looking forward to it. Although I think my father has made coffee already, and that would be kind of cool. I won't have to make it or wake up Mama grinding up my beans. I brought my grinder. They've got a coffee maker here. Brought my filters. But I'll sit. I'm looking out here in the water. It looks like there's something out there. I think maybe it's people actually. I'm looking here. Yeah, I'm right in front of the lifeguard station. And the lifeguards will come out here and do exercises. Looks like there's some way out there next to a buoy. Right, so I love walking back, and I'll sit down and enjoy my coffee in Disney World. It seems like by the time I get back to the room and have my coffee, and if I've been doing my live broadcasting and podcasting, that Mama will be ready to roll. She'll be up and she'll be ready to rock and roll to do some park opening rope drops. And so I don't get a chance really to sit down and just relax. But the difference here is I'm going to get back there, and Mama, she won't even be out of bed yet. She'll lay in bed and relax. She'll probably get up eventually here within the next hour, but my sister might be up with my brother-in-law Mike, and my father is usually up early. We'll sit there, sip our coffee, maybe read the paper. I might pick up the Sunday paper and just relax next to the room, sitting down having coffee. Hey, I got a guy over here fishing, so you can actually fish here on the beach early in the morning. It's kind of fun to see somebody hauling a nice fish, although you don't see it very often. It's still kind of cool to watch people out here fishing, bait casting out into the ocean. Right, so I'm almost back. I'm actually at a spot where we used to stay years ago. This is a place called the Silver Dollar. The Bell Harbor is a big hotel here on the beach, and I'm looking at that right now. That's the area where we used to stay, but the owner actually sold the little motel we used to stay at and sold it to a developer who built condos. There's a couple condo buildings where that resort used to be, which was very disappointing at the time. But actually, as I was talking to our friends last night, this place we're staying now at, we actually like even better. It's a little bit more of a walk down here and a little farther south, which isn't all that bad anyway. When you want to go up to the boardwalk at night, you can drive up there with your car, ride along the road along the ocean here, and it's kind of fun. Wildwood was known in the 50s for the doo-wop and the 50s music and the neon lights, and some of that has drifted away over the years because some of the building of these condos, but it's still kind of cool to drive up there at night. You can park your car for whatever, pay a cost, depending when and where you go. Yeah, I'm looking out here in the water. There's definitely a couple of people swimming, like way out deep, and they're just going across. I bet they're lifeguards. And that is quite an ambitious swim they're doing out there. I mean, they're out there deep. Apparently, I just saw the dolphins. Yay! There's a couple people in the water here, but just beyond them, yep, there's the dolphins. And it's kind of fun. They're hopping up out of the water a little bit, where you can see their fins. There they are. I love them. It's kind of fun. Sometimes I've seen them get really active. They'll jump clear out of the water. And if they get close enough, sometimes you'll see them jump out of the waves. That was some of the most exciting acrobats I ever saw. Yeah, I just saw one jump pretty high out of the water. Really cool to see the dolphins again here in Wildwood. I hope they keep all the sharks out of the area. The one thing about the water here is it's very low. There's a nice sandbar, and it's a great place to go boogie boarding, whether low or high tide. Waves are nice size. Small kids can play in the water. The beach is so long and huge. It's a great area. The kids will come out here with these things called a skimboard and skim across the water. And you'll see the dolphins out there when you're out in the water, they'll get fairly close. And you get an even closer look. Sometimes I like to bring my binoculars and check them out. And actually, as comparison again to Disney World, I like to bring my binoculars, especially if I'm staying at the Bay Lake Tower. And you got a long distance there, you can kind of zoom in on stuff. Really cool to do if you're sitting out on your balcony. Bring a pair of binoculars. Wow, there's another group of dolphins down here, farther down as I walk. They're going the opposite direction of me. They're going up the beach, I'm walking down. Very cool. Oh, yes. Well, thanks for coming along with me on my first morning here Sunday. And I will check my list back on other things I can compare between the beach vacation and Walt Disney World. We will talk to you next time, guys. Hello, testing. Well, good morning, everyone. It's a beautiful Monday morning here at Wildwood Crest, New Jersey. And I'm up early after another fabulous day at the beach. And I'm out walking 6:30 a.m. The sun is coming up nice here. Just walking past the dunes and heading out towards the water. Hopefully you can hear the sea breeze and the ocean and some seagulls. Not too many people out here this morning, as usual. Now it's Monday morning, so the weekend is gone. All the weekend folks would have gone home. We saw a bunch of people going home last night, actually, which was a little bit strange. Usually got to check out by 10 o'clock here at the motel, but saw some people leaving last night. And this morning here on the beach, it is really sparse with people. I'm making my long walk down towards the water. And again, thinking about comparing a little bit more of the beach vacation here in Wildwood, New Jersey, to the Walt Disney World resorts. And one thing I was thinking of was the time that we spend at the pool compared here than Disney World. I love the pools at Walt Disney World, but never seem to spend a whole lot of time there. And just the basic pace is so much faster at Walt Disney World, where we're pretty much getting up and going and moving somewhere all the time, which makes for a much faster paced vacation. And I think that's one of the reasons why, especially my boys, like the vacation here, probably at Wildwood Crest, a little bit better. They enjoy the time spent just hanging out. A typical day here at the beach would be my morning walk, which I'm doing now. And they're usually sleeping in a little bit. Although yesterday they were awake when I got there. Oh guys, I'll tell you, yesterday it took me a while to see the dolphins, but today they're right straight here in front of me. And I can see them spouting water out and lazily making their way across the water here. And a crystal blue sky. All day yesterday was crystal blue sky. Now that's something that absolutely was reminding me of Walt Disney World too. Many days we get this in Florida too. Oh, nice jump from the, yeah, they're flapping their tails. I love it when they do that. They're playing out there in the water. So great, but I'm gonna walk this time down the opposite end of the beach, the southern way. Oh, they're so much fun watching. Oh, you sit there and watch them. They're a little bit far out, but pretty cool. Hold on 1 second. There's even more dolphins down as I'm heading down south here. That's so cool. The southern part of the beach here ends at a wildlife natural reserve, like bird refuge, and you come right to a rope there. Someone's usually watching it so you don't walk into it. It's no trespassing there. And I call that Diamond Beach down here at the end. I'm gonna make my way. I'm gonna walk all the way down there. It's a good walk. Probably take me an hour between getting down there and coming back. All right, but I was talking about the pace of the Disney vacation compared to here, and yeah, it's much slower here. And a typical day, we go to the beach in the morning and then spend a couple hours, which is kind of nice because you get down to the beach before it gets really, really hot with the midday sun, and kind of beat some of the crowds down there. And by the time we've had enough, we'll actually do some boogie boarding in the ocean, which is a lot of fun. The waves here are really cool. And maybe sit and read. We always have our chairs, our beach chairs. And then you start to get hungry for lunch. You start walking, just pick up your chair, walk back to the room, and we'll start making lunch. Like yesterday, my son Harry was hungry. He came up first. I was actually up at the motel keeping my mom company while other people, my sister went out to the grocery store, my dad went to the grocery store. So I stayed with mom up there. And then they came, I started cooking some burgers. Had some Bubba burgers ready. And I just love sitting there by the grill cooking. I got some hot dogs going. We cooked up a couple of packs of hot dogs. And then we did some kielbasa and cheese. And all the kids started coming back from the beach. And we had a big old feast. Brought over some salad. It's kind of fun. Everybody brings a little bit something to the table. We've got 15 people here. And we just have ourselves a nice lunch. And then we hang out by the pool. And it's nice this hotel gets the early morning sun just for a little while. And then as it it faces our hotel really faces north, so but as the sun goes over, we get nice afternoon shade and we can actually stay out of the sun. It's another thing down in Florida. You want to be careful in the sun. Keep your suntan lotion on. Same thing down here. I got to keep my ears. I just got a big haircut. I got it all really tight, so I got to keep that suntan lotion on my face and lips and tops of your ears and tops of your feet. Stay out of the sun. But then after lunch, we might hang by the pool for a little bit and then go down. Like yesterday, my buddy Matt and his wife and my brother-in-law, we came down, sat down on the beach, took a little nap. Now that's something I don't know that I can, well, I did it a little bit actually down in Walt Disney World. That last trip, we actually did go back to the room at mid-afternoon. And I don't think I ever did fall asleep, but I think everybody else did. Well, that's a cool thing to do. And then I did some boogie boarding, went back up to the room. We actually stayed at the room in the hotel all day yesterday. And that's usually the typical day here. I stayed up late till, well, I don't call it late. It was about 10 o'clock last night. And yeah, so that's why it's such a nice, slower pace. Now there are things to do here. So tonight we're going to go over to the Cape May Sunset Beach. We're thinking getting over there. I don't know. We're having, my dad's cooking more dinner. And after dinner we'll go over there. Yeah, last night, that was the other thing we did. He cooked up a big old spaghetti dinner with meatballs and sausage. And that was a lot of fun. Yeah, there's lots of things here to do down at the beach. They have a nice big convention center, and my son, who's a graphic artist, likes art, and he was very interested, and I think he's done this before, but they have a tattoo convention at the convention center. And so Mama put all the kids, now our kids are 19 years old and older, so they all climbed into or 18 years old, they climbed into our Yukon, and she drove them up to the convention center, which is only like a mile or two up the road. You could walk it if you had to. And then they went to the tattoo convention, said it was kind of wild, but thankfully nobody got a tattoo. And just kind of went to look and see what was going on. But it was kind of nice that our kids are old enough they can go off on their own. We were all adults, were sitting back at the room, hanging out, relaxing, just remembering those days when the kids were little and we had to get up and go every time they wanted to go somewhere. They were always wanting to do stuff. They didn't always want to sit around and relax. You know, I think our pace at Disney World too has just started to begun to slow down a bit, where we can spend some time doing some more relaxing. So that's something to look forward to. Although it was always fun. I like getting up and seeing and doing things too, and enjoying the parks. All right, so there you have it. I'm going to finish up this recording for this week. It's still only Monday, but I've had fun comparing my Wildwood, New Jersey to my Walt Disney World trip. Hope you enjoyed it too. Finishing up my walk here as I'm heading down to Diamond Beach in the southern end of Wildwood Crest. I'm looking forward to this week off from work, and when we get back, hopefully this will go slow, at a slow pace, and we can enjoy it. And then when we get back home, it'll be back to work, back to school. The summer's over. I hope you've had a fantastic summer now that it's starting to wind down. We're in the middle, getting towards the end of August. It's one of my favorite times of the year, and I hope your wishes and dreams continue to come true. Have a great day and rest of the week. See ya.